Howdy, Dr. Cooper and all. I'm going to take a few minutes to join you from Texarkana to walk you through a little bit of this week's data analysis and pivot tables and why they're useful. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I'm going to pull up Excel. And on this lovely Excel document entitled Cooper Data 1, this contains all the information that Dr. Cooper has shared with us. Looking at the original sheet here, you see various things from student ID to unique IDs, names, gender, race, ethnicity, birthdays, scale scores, indicators, and that sort of thing for STAR reading 2018, 2019, grades 3 through 8. And also likewise the same thing, STAR 3 through 8 reading for 17, 18. So what I did was created a new sheet because as Dr. Cooper taught us, you always work with a copy and not your original data set. And I simply have this one called 1819 edited. And if you were to look at it, I went through and removed quite a few columns. I left student ID, gender, ethnicity, race, the 1819 scale score for reading. And then I went through and separated out the tables so that there would be the scale score for admin 2 and admin 3, because when you're working with data, it only wants one particular score per column. Otherwise, you're going to be off in your data. It won't work with multiple data points, or in this case, multiple scores within one column. So I also did the same thing with the raw score. You just insert extra columns, and then you can actually come up to one of these columns up here, the data column, and use text to column. And this is what, as you can see on the screen, allows you to split the single column, which would be either the scale scores or the raw scores, into multiple columns. You delineate it with the commas, and then it actually goes through and pulls these out for you. And then you will see that there's also this last column I have is for the grade enrolled in 1819. So this goes all the way from 3 through 8, just as you can see. This one right here is a good example of what happens before you text a column. This is what the raw score and the scale scores originally looked like. It was a score and a comma and another one. So in this case, this was for a 6th grade administration and an 8th grade administration, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that. I just thought I'd leave that one cell so I could better show what that looks like. And then working with this data set, I open a new tab, which we call descriptive analysis. And basically, it let you take the data from the original and come up with all your basic data sets. So there's a standard error, and then a median, a deviation, the skewedness, kurtosis, a range, a minimum, maximum, a sum, and a count. And you'll see the confidence level is within 95 or 1 standard deviation from the mean. The only thing that looks particularly off here, or what would be kind of standoffish or an indicator of something not necessarily working, would be this mode of 0, because that was not necessarily a frequency that any one thing showed up. But you could see there's also your standard error and your mean or your average. And we labeled this the raw score for 1819 first administration only. So theoretically you could go through and create your descriptive statistics for the second admin and for the second and the third admin, and you could look at the differences in raw scores. You could do the same thing with standard scores. And then always, as we've learned from all our past work with data, you could go in and you can add charts and of different sorts, and you can create combo charts. And so basically, anytime you want to put in any statistics, you can make them look any particular way you want. And I also took this 1819 edited and created another tab and took out a little bit more, but as you can see, I text the column so I could separate scale scores based on administration, raw scores, that sort of thing. And rather than being grades 3 through 8, I just focused on third grade. You click here and highlight the table. And at this time, you can start playing with pivot tables. This neat little option here, the recommended pivot tables, takes a look at all the data you've inputted into your data sheet or your spreadsheet, and then it'll actually offer some recommended tables. So like if I just click on it quickly, it would come through here and you could see, you know, local IDs, sums of admin 1. You can change the data sources. It gives you the option of looking at ethnicity and race. The cool thing here is if you go in and change your data source, and you don't have to just look at the sums, so you can actually look at averages, which would be a much more logical representation of the data. The local IDs really isn't going to let you know anything that you need. And then when you're working with these exorbitant sum numbers, it's not going to give you anything useful. But it is kind of cool that it gives you a place to start. So as you can see, I am back over here at this one where I edited out the data all except for grade 3 and inserted a pivot table here. And for this one, this field, I'm looking at all genders. You could separate it out and do male or female, which is kind of cool because if I took all out and just clicked on female and hit OK, you could see how numbers change. But I'm going to go back in, and now I could just change it to males and hit OK, and you could watch your numbers change again. And it's kind of cool how it shows up from one to the next, so you could watch the actual change bar by bar from female to male. And now we're going to select all and go back into showing all the gender, and you watch as it adjusts one last time. So this one, you can see what I did was I looked at all genders, and this is the average of scale scores for administration 1 only, broken down by ethnicity and race. And this gives you a total. So in this column, for instance, there was a total of 1,724 Asians that took the test, and gives you grand totals. And then you can kind of look at the breakdown of, you can see where your high performers and your low performers are. Is kind of cool, which, I mean, districts use this all the time. States use this all the time to look at your sub-pops, your race, ethnicity, gender, particular disabilities, that sort of thing, and look for patterns and trends. So again, you can go through here, and this allows you to make changes to your fields. You can use multiple filters. You can drag these different columns down to axes. Here you could change average to total. You can look through here and see all the different things you could use. Any column that was in your spreadsheet you could use. You can go through and add to these. You can also come through here like before. With any data we've worked with before, and you can get rid of various labels. And you can put some trend lines in here. I'm gonna take that out real quick, or you come through this option over here. I can go through and you can change colors, and change bars, and change the widths. I did put data labels on here, so it was just easier to read as opposed to these scale scores that are over here. Just another couple cool things that you can do with statistics that at some point will be useful in statistical work or our dissertations. And I'm looking forward to buying a subscription to AbleBits and kind of playing with that and just looking at the difference between Excel and AbleBits. And then I know next semester we're going to start working with SPSS, so it'll be interesting to see those as well. Thank you for your time. I'm going to stop sharing and close out the video.